Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello, everybody. Welcome to one more week of the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. And this week, we have joining us from Germany, Mirela Moos. Hey, Mirela. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Vasco.
Absolutely. Mirela is not a Scrum Master, so this whole week will be about thinking of and from a product owner and product manager perspective. She is the founder of Product People, a product management consultancy on a mission to help companies discover and deliver great products faster. They have 41 full-time product managers who help companies focus on product-led growth or profitability. So Mirela, that was a short intro. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and how did you end up becoming a product owner in the first place?
Sure, that's a great question. So I have a background in computer science, then later did an MBA. When I transitioned to product, it wasn't as easy or as mainstream as it is right now. So back in the days, the company where I was leading a small QA team had business analysts because those were the times. And I got recruited by an ad tech company based out of the Bay Area to be their product owner / product manager later. So that was my first product role, partially selected because of my technical background, plus people leading capacity at the previous role. So that was the reason they made the selection. And also not having that many other candidates on the market, right? Because it was about 12 years ago in Romania. So how many product managers could have been out there?
And it's interesting that you mentioned the business analyst role, because of course you have seen, and I have seen as well, many business analysts kind of migrate or gravitate towards the product owner role. But of course, there's very big differences between those two roles, right?
Sure. So if I were to put it, what we've seen as a setup in some companies that they have business analysts or product owners, many times they're merging this role into a product manager, meaning that the person graduates from backlog administration and just running Scrum or other agile processes into, hey, this is how we're going to do things, and have more agency around either revenue generating or cost saving initiatives. Whereas traditionally these roles have been more of a cost center back in some IT department, and Scrum or other agile frameworks were brought in and say, hey, can we make these people more productive? Can we see better what they're doing? So to some degree, this is what we've seen as the evolution. With the more sophisticated the clients get, the more they expect from the product function to make money or save money in any way that or shape or form. If they're less sophisticated on this angle, they expect more the traditional product ownership role of backlog management, project management, or this passive business analyst.
I like how you described it, graduated from managing a backlog.
And we also have that internally. So what we expect from associates at Product People is more of a traditional product owner role. Because if you're new to product, it's pretty nice going to the Scrum ceremonies and you get the sense of it and you learn how to scope user stories. And then the more they evolve in seniority, then you're going to have to deal with leadership people, usually with strong personalities, with very diverse backgrounds. So you need to be able to hold your own to a CEO or a director or a VP of either sales, customer success, marketing, or to the CTO, and explain why you're spending everyone's time on this versus that, or why you're saying no to their
ideas. Yeah, absolutely. Now, of course, as product owners, and because the vast majority of our listening audience are Scrum Masters, Agile coaches, we need to understand how Scrum Masters can, or maybe not, help the product owners do their work. So let's focus on one of those stories, Mirela. What is the biggest mistake you've seen a Scrum Master make?
Sometimes we did notice at the client we were at that had indeed the more classical agile Scrum setup is that the Scrum Master didn't understand the business or didn't want to understand the business very well, and everything came from a knee-jerk reaction. We need to protect the team. It's like, what are you protecting the team against? Are you like a soldier on a battlefield? So whenever one example, very concrete, the client was paying a 20K per month subscription for a third-party system that we were working to switch out and move to something else. And it was a rapidly developing topic regarding subscriptions and payments, right? So mistakes weren't also great there because you're playing with people's money, and that's not appreciated when it happens from a customer or from a B2C app perspective. So that became a bit difficult with the Scrum Master sometimes trying to distract the team with some team building activities. And we said, well, this is maybe not the time. These are the 3 weeks before the switching in and out of this very complex system with a high cost. So each month or the moment we pass into the next month is going to be 20K more. Or if we have problems, then it's going to be more expensive. Either way, it's expensive. Can we maybe not have this now, and can we just focus the team on this very large, important target? I know it kind of sounds like project management to some degree, but this was what the company needed, and there was enormous pressure on having that done. We were brought in after someone who had been working on that for a year or so quit the company very close to the stage of rollout. And then it was we were brought in with a bit of panic. It was like, okay, but how are you going to take over what this person has been doing for a year and a half? It wasn't that hard to take over because that person had been a bit junior and hadn't managed that well the strong personalities there, plus understanding the criticality of the business context. So that has been one part that sometimes they skew towards team building for the sake of team building, rather than, in my experience, people have bonded together over success, over shared experiences, rather than Miro workshop of reliving a memory you're happy with or something like that. Not that those are not useful, but it wasn't very useful in that context. So I felt it was just applied because.
So if I hear you right, this is a little bit about not really having a shared goal, right? Like I imagine that the Scrum Master might be thinking that the goal was to help the team work better together. But of course, you had been brought in to help solve a specific problem that had a clear price tag that was going up every month. And,
yes.
and you wanted to focus on that. How did you feel? Like what was missing from the cooperation with the team and the Scrum Master? What was missing to get to that shared goal? Like we are in this together, we are trying to reach the same goal together.
So at the same client with another Scrum Master, we found the good ways of working, in a sense that they were very excited about organizing the Agile Scrum ceremonies, and we let them do that, which was then helpful that they would prepare the retro, Miro boards, organize the team around that, keep them entertained. So with the other Scrum Master on a separate team at the same client, we found the good ways of working where the Scrum Master felt useful, and they also got some work off our hands because we were coming as a spectator at some of these ceremonies or as a participant instead of running them, which is sometimes the case in other teams we've seen. I guess with the other one, it ended up that the person was also managed out by the client. It was then maybe not understanding the job or feeling a bit under the radar and actually making things worse because they were trying to show that they bring value by coming up with things that no one wanted or needed at that certain time. Because it wasn't just us. At some point, the team also complained that they didn't like the approach of the Scrum Master or didn't appreciate being invited to random meetings when they felt also the pressure of the
So
rollout.
what if you are, let's imagine you were talking to a product owner out there potentially facing the same situation where they feel like maybe with the Scrum Master, we don't really have the same goal, and I don't see the usefulness of all of these things, all of these sessions that the Scrum Master is organizing. It's preventing us from reaching our product goals. What would be your advice for product owners out there in the same situation? What would you ask them to consider and to do in that case?
Well, talk with that Scrum Master and understand the misalignment. So the other example we have with the same company, the people found a way to give some scope to the Scrum Master so that they feel they're reaching their goal, and at the same time have a firm stance on a few things so that they don't get steamrolled over. Because I understand there can be a felt overlap sometimes, which may also confuse the dev team. So it's very good to address these, map areas of responsibilities, who does what, who runs which ceremonies, who's in charge of which topic. But at the same time, be very clear with the Scrum Master that there's going to be an escalation if we are sidetracked from what we've all agreed on with the CPO. That is our priority right now.
Absolutely.
So they're also there to help technically facilitate delivery, not to try to get distracted with like some workshop they found on the internet that they think it's interesting to run right now. So it's more, I've noticed also with junior PMs that they want to apply a framework for the sake of applying a framework, not thinking what's the core issue and what is the right approach in this moment right now, regardless of what got you excited when browsing LinkedIn today.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's actually a critical aspect, that we need to start from a goal, and the PM or PO and the Scrum Master, they need to agree on that goal so that they can then discuss what could be applied, right? Because as you said, frameworks are not the reason why we do what we do, but rather what we are trying to achieve together are the reasons that we do what we do. Thank you for sharing that story, Mirela.
Thank you for asking.
Monday is about what we learn from our obstacles and our failures. But tomorrow is Team Tuesday here on the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. We explore teams and their journeys, the habits they develop that threaten their performance, how each of our guests help their teams evolve, and the one key lesson they learned from that experience. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.